What's up? Gons here with another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I use the LateNight R&B pack that Serato Studio has and turn it into not really R&B, but drum and bass. Drum and bass, you know, a style that I've been really digging. So let's get right into it, right? So the sample is again from the R&B pack, and this was for one of our Serato kitchen streams for our weekly sample flipping contest, which you're more than welcome to join in. It's over in our Serato Discord area, so if you want the link, let me know. I'll put it in the comments as well. But this is the sample. I'm going to take the reverb off of the sample so you can hear what's going on. And I have this at -4 semitones. So I'm just going to turn this key sync off just for right now and put it back to 0. Again, with Studio, it'll try to match the master sync or the master key. So if you set the key to F minor, it'll try to move all your samples to F minor, which is a very helpful tool. So I'm just going to play this at the speed that I set it to. So it's like this, pretty laid back. Just had really cool texture, so I really liked the tone of it. And that's really the sample. That's what it is. And so what I ended up doing was I added this reverb from Valhalla. It's my go-to. Put about maybe 18.8%. Decay, not too much. I'll typically, if the sample itself has a bit of low end, I like the fact that I can do this low cut and get rid of some of the frequencies that the reverb is attaching itself to. So what this means right here, it controls how much output of the reverb is affecting these frequencies. So I'll try to remove some of that low so it doesn't hit the reverb. I know that sounded very convoluted, but it's where if you tend to hear this kind of rumbling sound from your reverb and it's affecting other sounds in your track, try actually seeing if your reverb has some type of EQ cut to remove those frequencies being applied to the reverb. So with that long-winded discussion there, I'm going to close this out and kind of play it back at the key that I had it set to, which was -4. And then alongside this reverb here. I just wanted a little bit of extra just tail on there. So what I ended up doing with that is making this chop, this first chop here. I want to solo that so the drums don't hit. It kind of made a rhythm out of it from there. Again, you don't have to play the full loop in its entirety. You know, that's what it's there for. You can go back and rearrange things and adjust things. So what I ended up doing, and I tend to do this quite a bit just because I think it's a helpful tool for me and how I make stuff, is I went ahead and went -50% on the tempo to really give me a lot of real estate. Because if I don't do this, this is what happens when I try to do this kind of chop style. That's originally how fast it is. Now, if I try doing that on this chop section here, it's not going to have that same rhythm that I'm going for. As opposed to that one. Yeah, so that wasn't quite working. So I'm going to move it back to 57. And again, what this does, it'll slow down that specific chop. Like you can really mangle it up, like really time stretching it to go much slower or much faster. That's pretty ridiculous. But so just know you have a lot of options here. So we're gonna go 57%. There is a X2.5 to make it easier, so you don't have to manually move this over. So again, now when I play this, it gives me that distance that I need to cover these chops right here. So if you feel like your sample is cutting too short and you kind of wish it was just a little bit like longer to get to that part, try using the tempo adjustment to help you get to the next chop right there. You can also automate this, so you can do some really cool tricks where you'll have it. You know what? Let me show you guys right now. Why not, right? This video is to help everybody out. So what I'll do is I'm going to make a chop here, and I'm going to automate this where the tempo is actually going to be at 0. So again, if you don't know how to do automation, I can tell my window's a little off there. There we go. We have this little robot icon right here, Mr. Roboto. You click on that, purple, and opens up this automation panel. I'm picking the chop number 1 right here. So that's the little purple dot there, signifies that I am going to chop, or I'm going to automate this specific number here. So I'm going to create this little point here. I'm going to make this 0. So right now, if I just left it alone right here, it's going to sound like this. Now, what I can do is I'm going to make another point here and another point here. I'm going to drag this down to 75%. And now you'll visually see this going regular speed and then like really slowing down. Plus you'll hear it. If I want even more apparent here, I'm going to move this, create this another dot point here, and then watch what happens. I'll make another one here just so you can see kind of the wildness going on. So here we go. So what this is signifying is that right now, at this moment here, this tempo is going to be at -1%, negative or +1, +1, +1, +1. Then we have this dip where it goes to -75%. And then we have this steep incline, like the yodeling, not Price is Right. Yeah, Price is Right. Yodeling incline here.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And then we have this massive decline. So we're going 300%, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down to -75%. So this is probably going to sound ridiculous, but anyways, here's how it goes. Let me really bring this down to here. So again, this is more just an example of like how you can really do cool time stretch effects. You can go wild with that. So we got that there. So that was the main sample on the kind of drum and bass that I like. You know, you got to have these drum breaks. So this was a drum break that I have here. Solid. Just had a good groove to it. So I had that one there. It's kind of like tambourine. Sucker for tambourines. I had this vocal harmony. Found it on a splice pack. And let me turn off all these effects here. And kind of play it back.
'Cause I've been falling for you knee deep. Been losing my mind. But you don't wanna see me. You're playing for time.
I like how that sounded. I thought it was cool. I added this chorus effect.
'Cause I've been falling for you knee deep.
It sounds like multiple
Been
singers.
losing my mind.
It's a free plugin. Tal Chorus LX. Again, it just adds another set of voices to a sample, and it doesn't have to be just vocals. You can put it on. You could put that crap on anything. Then I have Nectar 3. It's a vocal processor. And with this one, did a little bit of pitch correction, nothing too much with like auto tune or anything like that. A little EQ, rolling that off a little bit delay here in this little area here. compressor, not too much, and a little bit of reverb here. And this kind of chain right here started with this preset right here. So I'm all about like presets. If it sounds pretty good and I just need to tweak things, then I can go about tweaking things. Again, if you want to learn like the constructions of everything here, as far as like what this fully does, what delay does, and fully building your own type of preset, it's a good thing to learn. But if you're just trying to get ideas out, and you kind of go through some presets and then adjust according to taste, essentially. And then I added this other EQ because I wanted to bring a little bit more of the frequencies. I could have did it at Nectar. I just felt like doing it on a M Dynamic. Cut a little bit of the frequencies down here and then brought these up a little bit. Not sure if this one is still free, but it was free at the time of when I got it, which was probably about a couple months ago. But I'll double check. And if it is, I'll put the link in the description below. So when I include all those things, it sounds like this.
'Cause I've been falling for you knee deep. Been losing my mind. But you don't wanna see me. You're playing for time.
I really liked how that went. So we had that vocal there. Had this cool synth lead that I found. I usually struggle with like having very lead synthy sounds. I tend to either overpower the track with it and I lose all the other elements, or it gets really busy. That's kind of the double-edged sword on my own productions. You know, I'm humble enough to say it in that sense of there's times where I'll make stuff too busy and I have to learn to strip away things, or it's like, okay, strip away some things and let the lead synth really lead the show for that moment in time. So again, that was one of my problems, is I wanted to throw everything in the kitchen sink into the production. Is like learning how to take certain elements out in certain parts and then bring everything back in when it deems suitable. So had that, found this cool little synth ARP transitional sound. I just thought it sounded cool. It was like a cool little sparkly sound. Sparkles. Thought that was dope. Then we have this conga rhythm. I didn't put it too much. I put it in one little section. Just thought it sounded cool, so I went with that. Not even much processing, just did a high pass filter. And originally it was where I can really hear it on the right side of my headphones. So I just adjusted the panning right here and just moved it to the left. And then I did a high pass filter so you didn't hear as much of the low on that. And again, if you aren't familiar with Studio, so on this side here, this is what would be called the channel strip for this deck. This one on this side only controls each specific pad. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I clicked on this, now this changes into pad 2. I think this is where some people get confused with this section here. Just remember, this is for the whole track or sample. This is for each individual hit or each individual pad that is associated with this on this side. The more you know, right? Okay, so we have that. Which is there. And then I was trying to implement this guitar melody. Didn't quite make the cut. I should just delete it, but kept it there. I had an idea and then didn't quite pan out. So always try your ideas out. If it doesn't pan out, it's all good. Then classic amen break. Just a little section there. Use the knock plugin to really drive that drum. Did quite a bit of saturation on there. Really dope drum processor. Shout out to Decap. And then we have this kind of build up marching drum or marching snare kind of build up. Added some reverb to it. set up well. So use that for a build-up section. And then just to add an additional little layer to a part, I use this addictive keys. I can tell my window screen is a little, there we go. Got to keep it all in frame, homie. There we go. Coolio, coolio. Put that over there. Boom. Okay. So I had addictive keys. This is a really, really dope piano plugin. Gives you those really awesome tones of the piano. Just had a Studio Grand preset that was in there. It was just to add a specific layer in a part. And then I used Vital, which is where it's like a synth, VST synth. I just use this to layer over the piano. So just add a additional layer, kind of making this fantastic drum and bass sandwich. And then for our bass, I use the Serato, the earthquake bass that Serato has. I have the octave up on my piano. There we go. Then you get that really low, that subby low that I wanted to hear. Boom. And then with this one, I use Kickstart. It's like a sidechain plugin. Put it at a quarter, at half. Then use the limiter cruncher and brightener EQ because I wanted to bring up the bass a little bit more just so it wasn't super subby. So we had that. And then I was trying to add that little flute in there. I didn't quite make the cut on it. And this was like another top end drum break. So yeah, I had that. With that one, I use wider just for like stereo width. Free plugin, by the way, on that one. OTT. An over the top compressor. Didn't use too much of it. This one's free also from the same company that makes Serum that I don't remember off the top of my head right now. And I use knock on this one as well. And then a sidechain, about 29%. I didn't want to completely duck it. I just wanted it to really layer well with my other two drums there. So I basically built the track using this scene here. Oh, this sample right here. This is kind of what helped me tie in the late night R&B sound with everything else. Was just like melodic loop. And originally it sounds like this if I took the filter down. It's a beautiful sample. However, when I had it combined with everything else, it was really like clogging up a lot of the frequency space. So kind of went a little extra on the sidechain, but filtering it is what really helped me out. Because all I wanted to hear was like that ethereal sound and a little bit of the extra. Because if I had this all the way down, for me, it was going to sound too busy. Like, it's not too bad, but the only problem I would run into is when I had my other bass playing, it would conflict. So what I could have did was for this section is leave it here and then for everything else automate it. But I just liked how it was in this area, so I kept it like that. So again, try out all your ideas. I think it's super important because I'd rather hear my idea and then I can be like, I'm not feeling it. And then try another one and go from there. So let me see here. That's that part. This is what I ended up building first and then started building all the other scenes from there. And again, scenes are essentially the building blocks of your song structure in studio. If you've messed with Machine or an old MPC, they have them in little sections or scenes or groups. This is essentially what that is as well. And then they're like Lego pieces. You bring the Legos over and you build your song.
You don't wanna see me. You don't wanna see me.
So that was really how I got things going. Let's build it there. So I kind of stripped things down. So I took the vocal away. Or I'll mute that. I'll mute this also. Take the bass away. Oh, I had these little top loops. I forgot to mention that. And actually have this on a volume automation. Oh no, actually what I did for this one to get it where it kind of rises, I made it where the attack was a little bit delayed. So it doesn't exactly hit with all its dynamic. It gradually increases in its dynamic. Like you'll hear it go. It's almost like a volume automation, but I just did it to the attack. Reason that works on this is because it's the same sound for that whole time. So if it was like a sample that had a bunch of things going on, you would kind of miss the first half because the attack would fade it out. Meaning like, all right, this is 429, bring this up. I wanted it to fade in more. I just liked how that sounded, so I went with it. So there was that one. Then this other little, yeah, that was our other tambourine loop there. And then what I did for the two drums here was pretty much followed each other. They pretty much had the same type of pattern. I just wanted to layer one over the other. Here's one by itself. That's how that sounded by itself. There's that one, and then together. Now with the percussion, the additional percussion. It's all subtle, but now we got a good pocket. Bring the synth in, or bring the sample in. I bring it up just a little bit more on volume. Now I'm going to bring in that other sample in. Trying to see how it's building up now. Bring in the bass. This is a notation on the bass. Kept it simple. Then I tried out that vocal. That's kind of how I got this main portion of the song. And then it was just kind of stripping it down to things. So we had that section there. And I know, and I get comments on there like, why is your intro in the middle? I got lazy and didn't label that there, but I knew what that was. But when you're first starting out, absolutely label your scenes. And the way to do it, you just right click, rename, and you got it. So we have that there. So I introduced this synth here. It's all about just placement of things. It just had a cool little, I don't know, bounce to it. So I added it in that section. Along for the build up, that's where I included that marching snare. That's where I added that piano note right there. The way I came up with that notation was just me kind of trying to sing out notes. I am not a singer at all, but I was just trying to see what could work with that vocal, because it was going da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. So in my brain, it was kind of like call and response, where it's like da-na-na-na-na-na, da-dun-dun-dun, da-na-na-na-na, da-dun-dun-dun. That's what I had in my brain. So then I was trying to figure out how it was on the keyboard, like da-dun-dun. And it's trial and error. Dun, 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 dun. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of sing the tone a little bit. Dun, 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 dun. Then I landed on there. So I am by no means a piano player yet. I'm trying to get my melodics practice. But I just kind of sat there for a little bit and just try to figure out what notes could work. So all I did with Vital was do the same thing. I layered that same note to this one. But by combining them, you kind of create this new tone. So near the end of this, I included that little break. I did a filter right here, a little filter automation, so you can see it. Went high pass, back down. Boom. It was just a cool setup to then get into the main part right there. So we have that. Yeah, unsolo this. So with that, I was just taking all the main drums out just to start kind of making this build up. So this is basically just a build up section from here to here. This is just kind of building a groove. This is kind of like our groove here. Groove, spell it. There we go, groove. There. So this was just stripping away certain things just to build off of that. Oh. So it's just building into the track. So I use that little sparkly just to signify a new change. Again, it could just be one sound that lets people know that something's different is happening. So we're gonna have Mr. Sparkles come through. Then start bringing the drums in right there. It's going right into it. Brought that back in. Then we're gonna cut everything out to a new section. This is kind of our build section.
You're playing for time. Sad and falling for your knee deep. Been losing my mind, but you don't wanna see me. You're playing for time.
Boom.
Sad and falling for your knee deep.
Main part.
Been losing my mind, but you don't wanna see me. You're playing for time.
Took that vocal out.
You don't wanna see me.
Then a little bit of it with the synth.
You don't wanna see me.
So now we're kind of going to the outro. Now, I did this little change at the end of the drum here just to give it a little bit of a difference here. So what it is, I made a chop on... I always like that pattern for some reason. It's like that. So I made a copy of that and try to find another part that on this drum that sounded exactly the same as that one. It's like a repeating hi-hat and snare. So if I solo these two, it's going to sound like this. So that's what I ended up doing for that. I just noticed a little slightly off on there. So I was like, wait a second, it sounds correct, right? There we go. Now they're copying each other. Sometimes I'll use the visual to let me know if it's hitting on time with each other. That's actually really helpful. So I just created that little change. Made this other little drum pattern here with this break. It sounds like this. Just a little reverse. So if you don't know how to do reverse, you find your chop. So say, for example, I want to reverse from here to there. I'll create a cue, and then you have a reverse button. And you'll see the little flag. You'll see this little icon moving. I call it the flag. Kind of reminds me of the Super Mario flag when he jumps and goes down. So now I have it like that. It reverses. And you're told like, hey, buddy, you got reverse on right here. So that's how you reverse that. So that's all I did. Just played the drum sample through to that part and then just reversed it. Just like a little, just some cool stuff I wanted to do. To bring everything in. So then we had that there. And then I did this high pass filter. You definitely hear it with the drums. Again, let automation be your friend, man. Let it be your friend. So just did a high pass automation going down to the end of the second bar and then just brought all the elements back in. This is where I started really emphasizing this piano. I just went up an octave, down an octave. Then we get to the end. Take everything out, and then just leave the piano notes. Give a nice little bow on top for the ending there. And yeah, that is how I created this kind of drum and bass flip. just things to try really is getting practice with the drums, because that's usually the main emphasis, drum and bass, of this kind of style. But first, just start off with, like really adjusting, like say the amen break, and really chopping that up and trying different things out, trying to layer other percussion over that. And then for me, it was like really building the whole song, like the main part of the song, and then starting to break that down to just start creating the rest of my composition here. But yeah, again, this is how I flipped the late night R&B pack. If you have any questions, let me know. I appreciate all the support. Usually everyone's gonna say, oh, subscribe, do whatever. Really just ask me questions, and if I helped you out, just let me know. And with that, keep creating, keep having fun. I'm Gons. You guys take care. Peace out, everybody.
I've been falling for your knee deep. Been losing my mind.